Imagine this. Parent pulls into the school drop-off line on a crisp Monday morning. The coffee is still warm in the cup holder. The radio hums softly in the background. And their child in the back seat is humming the latest TikTok song. They pull up to the front, unbuckle, sling the backpack over one shoulder, and lean in for that familiar hug. Have a good day. A smile, a wave, and the child walks through those school doors. It looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. Deep. Inside that parent's chest is a fear they rarely say out loud. Will my child come back home safely? For millions of parents across the United States, this isn't paranoia. It isn't overthinking. It's the reality of raising kids in a world where school shootings dominate headlines with heartbreaking regularity. Just think about it. School used to mean safety, structure, and innocence. Today, for too many families, it means worry, uncertainty, and the unspoken terror that the next news alert could involve their child's school, and the numbers are staggering. According to recent reports, gun violence has now surpassed car accidents as the leading cause of death for children and teens in America. Let that sink in for a moment. Not sickness, not accidents, not drugs. Guns. Every statistic hides a face. A story, a family torn apart. Behind every news headline is a mother clutching her child's photo, a father replaying the last goodbye in classrooms that will never sound the same again. This fear, this unshakable reality, has forced parents, schools, and entire communities to ask the most desperate question: how do we protect our children? And in that search for answers, a new and controversial product has entered the conversation: bulletproof backpacks. Yes, you heard that right. Backpacks that don't just hold books, binders, and snacks, but are engineered to stop bullets. At first glance, the idea feels almost surreal. A backpack is supposed to carry homework, not double as body armor, and yet more and more parents are buying them. Schools are debating their effectiveness. Companies are advertising them as a new line of defense for kids growing up in the shadow of mass shootings. If you walk into certain stores or browse online, you'll find ads that sound eerily normal. Lightweight, bullet-resistant panels. Stylish designs for kids of all ages. Tested to protect against handgun rounds. It's a chilling reflection of where we are as a country when a child's back-to-school shopping list might include pencils, notebooks, and a bulletproof shield. But here's the truth. The idea sparks more questions than answers. Do these backpacks really work in the chaos of a shooting? Or are they just a false sense of security, a product marketed to terrified parents while the root problem goes untouched? And maybe the most painful question of all, what does it say about us as a society when we're strapping armor to children instead of ensuring they don't need it in the first place? This is where the debate gets heated. For some, bulletproof backpacks provide peace of mind in a world where safety feels unpredictable. For others, they're nothing more than a band-aid on a much bigger wound. Erica's complex and divisive, the relationship with guns. And that's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. We'll break down how these backpacks are made, whether they actually stand up to real-world scenarios, and the psychological impact of sending a child to school with armor on their shoulders. We'll also look at the larger picture, the ongoing battle over gun laws, school safety measures, the question of what responsibility we all share in protecting the next generation. Because make no mistake, this story isn't just about backpacks. It's about fear. It's about faith. It's about the heartbreaking choices parents feel they have to make just to keep their children safe in a place that should never feel dangerous. So let's dive in, because until we understand the full story, technology, politics, culture, and all we can answer the one question that matters most, are bulletproof backpacks truly protecting our children? Or are they protecting us from facing the truth? Asterisk when you first hear the phrase bulletproof backpack. It almost sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood action movie. You can imagine a spy flick where a hero flips their bag around to block flying bullets in a high-speed chase. But this isn't Hollywood. This is real life. And right now, in stores and online across America, these backpacks are being sold to everyday parents. Thousands have already bought them, so what exactly are they? On the surface, they look like any other school backpack. Bright colors, cartoon characters, sports logos, sleek, trendy designs that teenagers wouldn't mind carrying. But hidden inside, tucked into a compartment, something that sets them apart. A protective panel designed to stop bullets. Most of these panels are made from Kevlar, a synthetic fiber, 5 times stronger than steel. Famously used in police vests and military armor, others use polyethylene fibers, which are lighter yet strong enough to resist certain types of bullets, in simple terms. These are the same kinds of materials designed to keep soldiers and law enforcement alive in the line of duty. The concept is straightforward. In the horrifying event of a school shooting, the child can grab the backpack, hold it up like a shield, protect their vital organs while trying to escape. Some models are rated to stop handgun rounds, the kind most common. In shootings, higher-end versions, often heavier and much more expensive, claim to withstand rifle rounds. Now, let's pause here and be crystal clear. These backpacks are not magic. They don't make a child invincible. They don't guarantee survival.
And
They certainly don't erase the chaos and fear of a shooting. In fact, the heavier ones can be uncomfortable for a child to carry day after day. Some weigh several pounds even before adding textbooks and lunchboxes. But for many parents, the calculation is simple. Something is better than nothing. Picture a mother walking through a back-toast aisle in August. She sees 2 nearly identical backpacks hanging side by side. One is a normal bag, the other is labeled Bulletproof. Same style, same design. But the second one promises an extra layer of protection. For that mother, who's hard already, skips a beat every time she hears about another shooting on the news, the choice feels obvious. Even if it costs 2 or 3 times more, even if it means cutting back somewhere else in the family budget, she buys the one that makes her feel like she's done something to protect her child. And companies know this. Brands like Guard Dog, Security, Bullet Blocker, and Armor Me have built entire product lines around this fear-driven demand. Their websites feature images of smiling kids carrying sleek backpacks, alongside detailed charts about what caliber of bullet each model can stop. And every time a tragic school shooting makes headlines, sales spike. Not a pattern. Become disturbingly predictable. Tragedy happens, fear rises. And orders for bulletproof backpacks surge. In fact, some companies have openly admitted that they see their biggest boosts in revenue after high-profile incidents. It's heartbreaking to even think about. But this is where we are. A cycle where grief turns into fear. And fear turns into profit. But here's where things get complicated. Yes, the backpacks can stop certain bullets. But experts warn that focusing on them raises bigger, uncomfortable questions. For one, are we unintentionally normalizing violence by telling kids that school is so dangerous they need to carry armor? Think about the psychological weight of that. It's not just a backpack anymore. It's a reminder every single day. That danger could be around the corner. Another concern, are we quietly shifting responsibility? Instead of demanding solutions from lawmakers, communities, and school systems, are we placing the burden onto parents, forcing them to buy gear just to feel like their child has a fighting chance? And then comes the heaviest question of all. What kind of world are we creating when a child's school supplies include something designed to stop a bullet? Because let's be honest, a backpack is supposed to hold crayons, books, and lunch. It's supposed to be part of childhood, not a piece of battlefield equipment. The very fact that bulletproof backpacks exist at all is a reflection of how deep and painful America's gun problem has become. In the next part of this video, I'm going to take a closer look at the big question parents really want answered. Do these backpacks actually work when it matters most? Because when it comes to protecting children, hope is not enough. We need to know the truth. Asterisk now. Let's get to the heart of the matter. The question every parent is really asking, do bulletproof backpacks actually work? Supporters argue, without hesitation, that yes, they do. They point to independent ballistic tests where these backpacks have successfully stopped handgun bullets. On YouTube and news clips, you can find demonstrations. A handgun fires the bullet, strikes the panel, and instead of tearing through, it embeds harmlessly in the protective fibers. For many parents, that's proof enough. If it can save even one life, isn't it worth it? They ask. And it's hard to argue with that logic. When you imagine your own child in danger, some students who own these backpacks echo the same feeling. They say it makes them feel a little safer walking through school hallways, knowing that, at least in theory, they have some kind of shield if the unthinkable happens, even if it's more psychological than practical. That sense of control matters to them. But critics are not convinced. Their argument starts with cold, harsh numbers. Yes, most bulletproof backpacks can block certain handgun rounds. But what about AR-15 style rifles, the kind tragically used in some of the deadliest school shootings? In America, those rifles fire bullets at a velocity far greater than a handgun, with devastating power. And most bulletproof backpacks on the market are not rated to withstand that kind of firepower. Even if they can stop one bullet, critics ask, what about multiple shots? What if the attacker keeps firing? In the chaos of a shooting, the odds that a child will be perfectly positioned to block every shot with a backpack are painfully slim. Then there's the psychological toll. Imagine being 10 years old, packing your homework and snacks every morning into a bag that doubles as body armor. Every day, that backpack whispers a reminder. You might be shot at school. Instead of creating safety, some argue it builds fear. Experts in child psychology warn that normalizing armor could increase anxiety among students, rather than reduce it. And let's talk about cost. A regular backpack from Walmart or Target might run $30 or $40, a bulletproof one. Anywhere between $150 and $500. That price tag is simply out of reach for many families. So what does that mean? That children from wealthier families get protection while others are left vulnerable? Are we unintentionally creating yet another divide where safety becomes a privilege of the rich? Some school districts have thought about that question and taken a stand. Instead of encouraging parents to buy bulletproof backpacks, they've banned them outright. Their reasoning is blunt. Backpacks should not be armor. Safety, they argue, should come from secure buildings, trained staff, clear policies, and preventive measures, not from putting the burden on kids to carry their own shield. And that's where the debate really heats up. On one side, you have desperate parents who would do anything, absolutely anything, to keep their children safe. If spending a few $100s might give their child a fighting chance, they'll find a way to afford it. For them, it's not about statistics or probabilities. It's about doing everything possible in a world where nothing feels certain anymore. On the other side, you have experts, school officials, and child advocates saying this isn't the solution. This is a band-aid on a wound that needs surgery. They argue that focusing on backpacks distracts from the real issue: America's relationship with guns and the systemic changes required to keep schools safe in the first place. The debate often comes down to perspective. To a parent, buying a bulletproof backpack feels proactive, protective, and responsible. To a critic, it feels reactive, misplaced, and dangerously symbolic. Because if society accepts bulletproof backpacks as normal, what's next? Bulletproof lunchboxes? Bulletproof jackets? Where does it stop? And beyond symbolism, there's a chilling irony. A backpack is supposed to represent childhood, learning, and growth. Turning it into a shield sends a message that school is a battlefield. That's not the world most of us want our children to inherit. This tug-of-war between peace of mind and practical effectiveness, between personal responsibility and societal responsibility, isn't going away anytime soon. Every tragedy renews the conversation. Every new product sparks fresh debate. And every parent continues to live with the impossible choice: trust in policy, trust in luck, or trust in armor. But one thing is clear: bulletproof backpacks are not just about material and stitching. They're about what kind of safety we believe in and what kind of future we're willing to accept. And that brings us to the next big question: beyond the bags themselves. What does this say about America's larger struggle with guns, safety, and culture? Asterisk: to really understand this issue, we need to zoom out. Because bulletproof backpacks are not the root of the problem. They're just a symptom, a desperate response to something much larger. The real crisis is America's relationship with guns. No, it's other developed country in the world experiences. School shootings at the scale we see in the United States Nations like Japan, the UK, Germany, and Canada all have video games, movies, mental health struggles, and social pressures. But what they don't have, at least not nearly to the same degree as easy access to firearms here in the US, gun ownership is deeply tied to identity, culture, and politics. For some, guns symbolize freedom, independence, and protection. For others, they represent fear, danger, and preventable loss. And every time a school shooting happens, those two sides clash in a cycle that feels heartbreakingly familiar. First, there's shock and grief. News alerts flood our phones, images of crying parents fill TV screens, and communities mourn children taken far too soon. Then come the calls for stricter gun laws. Activists, grieving families, and concerned citizens demand background checks, limits on assault weapons, and stronger safety measures. Almost immediately, the pushback begins. Political fights erupt between pro-gun and anti-gun groups. The answer is fewer guns. Others say the answer is more guns in the hands of good guys. The debate gets heated, emotional, and often ugly. And finally, after all the noise, nothing changes. The nation moves on until the next tragedy restarts. The cycle. Meanwhile, schools try to do what they can within their limited power. Metal detectors appear at entrances. Security officers are hired to patrol hallways. Teachers practice lockdown drills with their students, teaching children as young as 6 years old how to hide quietly in a corner. Some schools install panic buttons, surveillance cameras, or reinforced doors. But the sad reality is none of these measures can fully prevent a determined shooter. A metal detector can't stop someone from firing in a parking lot. A lockdown drill can't erase the trauma children feel when they realize why the drill exists in the first place. And this is exactly why parents are turning to personal, individual solutions like bulletproof backpacks. Deep down, they feel the system has failed them. If lawmakers won't act, if schools can't guarantee safety, then parents believe they have no choice but to take matters into their own hands. It's a heartbreaking place to be, when sending your child to school feels like sending them into danger, and the only comfort you can buy is a backpack that doubles as armor. But here's the harsh truth. A backpack might stop a bullet, but it cannot fix a broken system. It cannot solve the deeper issues driving these tragedies. It cannot address untreated mental health struggles, cycles of despair, or the disturbing availability of assault-style weapons. That's why so many experts, from educators to psychologists to law enforcement officials, say the same thing. If we truly care about our children, piecemeal fixes aren't enough. We need real systemic reform. That means safer schools designed with security in mind, not as an afterthought. That means smarter gun laws that keep deadly weapons out of dangerous hands without stripping away rights from responsible owners. And most of all, that means a cultural shift to recognition that protecting innocent lives must come before protecting political talking points. Because right now, the debate around guns in America often sounds louder than the cries of parents who've lost their children. And if we're being honest, the real test of a society is how it treats its most vulnerable. For America, that test is happening in classrooms every day. So yes, bulletproof backpacks might offer a thin layer of security, but they are not the solution. They are a symbol of fear, of frustration, and of a nation still struggling to face the uncomfortable truth. And that truth is simple. Until we tackle the bigger picture, till we address the root causes of this crisis, children will continue to pay the price for a problem adults refuse to solve. Asterisk. So where does this leave us? Bulletproof backpacks have become a powerful, unsettling symbol of our times. On one hand, they represent the deepest form of parental love, the instinct to protect your child at any cost. On the other, they represent a society that has failed to solve its most urgent problem, society where children need armor just to sit in a classroom. Yes, these backpacks may save a life in rare cases. They may give comfort to parents who feel powerless. But they cannot be the foundation of school safety. They are not a solution. At best, they are a last resort. If we truly want to protect children, The responsibility cannot fall on a child's shoulders, literally or figuratively. It must be shared across all levels of society. Lawmakers must step up and act on meaningful gun reforms. That means common sense policies like stronger background checks, restrictions on high-capacity weapons, and closing loopholes that allow dangerous individuals to get their hands on firearms. Every time tragedy strikes, we hear promises. But promises without action change nothing. The time for excuses has long passed. Schools must do more than install metal detectors or run lockdown drills. Safety isn't just about walls and locks, it's about people. That means investing in smarter security systems, yes, but also investing in mental health resources, counselors, support staff, and programs that identify and help struggling students before anger or despair turns into violence. Because prevention is always more powerful than reaction. Communities must come together to address the deeper roots of violence. Poverty, neglect, isolation, and untreated mental illness all feed into cycles of despair that sometimes end in tragedy. Neighbors, faith groups, mentors, and community leaders can all play a role in creating environments where young people feel supported, valued, and seen. And of course, parents will continue to do what parents have always done: fight with every ounce of strength to keep their children safe. Buying a bulletproof backpack doesn't make anyone weak or paranoid. It makes them human. But at the same time, parents must channel their fear and frustration into collective action. Demand change at school board meetings. Call representatives. Join organizations advocating for safer communities. Because individual actions may protect one child, systemic change protects them all. At the end of the day, we face a choice. Do we continue down this path where every child carries armor to class, where backpacks double as shields, and where fear shadows every hallway? Or do we work toward a different future, a future where children don't need armor in the first place? One grieving parent once captured this truth in a way words can hardly improve on. Standing before cameras after losing their child, they said, "I don't want my child to survive school. I want my child to enjoy school, that's it." That's the message we need to carry forward, because school should be a place of discovery, of laughter, of friendships, not of lockdown drills, not of trauma, and certainly not of armor. And so as we close this discussion, I want to turn the question over to you. What do you think? Are bulletproof backpacks a necessary tool in today's reality, or a dangerous distraction from the real issue? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, because the more voices we bring into this conversation, the harder it becomes for leaders to ignore. If you believe that every child deserves to feel safe in school without fear, without armor, then join this movement. Subscribe to this channel, share this video with others. Let's start demanding a future where children carry only books in their bags, not bulletproof shields. Because safety should never be a privilege. It should always be a right. And together, if we raise our voices, maybe, just maybe, we can build that future.